video, I want to show you what you can still do to work out your body even when you are injured. So currently I have an injury on my right leg. I have shin splints, which means that I can't do heavy back work, I can't do any rope skipping or anything that really puts pressure on my leg. But it doesn't mean I cannot train or work out. So with weights I could still do my upper body and still do some weightlifting. We'll do that in a different video. But just to make sure that we still improve our body and our health, there's a lot that we can do that also aids in the normal martial arts trainings that we do. I'm talking about stretching and working on our flexibility. So there's a big debate in, let's say, the martial arts world or in the fitness world about doing stretching and whether you do active or passive stretching. So the difference between the two is when you do passive stretching, you're just going into a stretch position where you really stretch up your muscles and you keep it there for a longer period of time. When you do active stretching, usually you're working towards the movement that you're going to execute in subsequent exercises. You stretch your muscle as well, but you keep doing a light version of it. So if we were to do kicks, for example, you would just keep on doing very light kicks and making sure that your muscles get prepared for the actual full force kick. Now, when we are working on our flexibility, there's two things to consider when we talk about passive versus active stretching. So passive stretchers are still useful, but they're mainly targeted towards elongating the muscles. So they make your muscles longer. And this is very useful if you're a bit tight or if you can't make those really high kicks that you want to make. It still has a lot of use to elongate those muscles. You need to keep them for a longer period of time in a stretch position. Research shows that the optimal is about 2 minutes, but you need to do at least 20 seconds to see some results. But if you do stretches as a preparation for subsequent exercise, so for example for weightlifting or doing some bag work, the active stretches are actually key because they warm up your muscles a lot more and they get your blood flowing. So to prevent injury from subsequent muscles, you would use active stretches. If you want to elongate your muscles or go for long-term results, you would do passive stretches. And mind you also, the risk of injury, if you don't do them well, is slightly higher with active stretches than it is with passive stretches. So now without further ado, let's do a couple of exercises that I always do actually. They don't show in the videos, but just before or after the videos that I record or when I'm resting out, I always do stretches just to keep myself active and not have just idle time doing nothing. Usually I work on my legs the most. I also stretch my arms, but we'll get to that later on. So let's start with some very useful active and passive stretches just for the leg muscles. So first and foremost, what I want you to do is just bend down slightly and move towards one side that you're going to put your weight on and stretch out the other leg as far as you can. Make sure that you go down as low as you can. You can use your hands for support and your arms for support because it's all about the stretch, it's not about looking cool and having a great balance. You can use your hands absolutely fine. The resting feet that your weight is on can either be flat on the ground or you can bend it. It doesn't matter because we're looking for the stretch and not for the optimal, let's say, aesthetic here. Do make sure that this leg is fully stretched out. So lock it, make sure that you feel the stretch on the inside of your leg and keep it there for at least 20 seconds. If you really want to go at it and really want to reap the benefits of this, go for 2 minutes minimum. So once you've done one side, you can move to the other side and do the same thing, obviously. Really important about this one is that we do want to stretch the inner side of the leg, so make sure that your feet are pointing forward. Don't get your toes up, that's a different one. Don't rotate out, make sure that your toes point forward. Yeah, so lean down, make sure that you get the stretch in the inside of your leg and keep it here again for 20 seconds. Now, as for martial arts, this exercise where we stretch up this part of our leg is really useful for doing sideward kicks, so roundhouse kicks, sideward kicks, not the front kicks, that's a different one, but definitely the ones where you rotate. So you will need to make sure that the inner side of your leg is really elongated when you go up and rotate your legs, because the supporting leg will actually stretch this part of your body. So next up, for front kicks and anything that involves your legs moving forward, there's a similar exercise. The only thing we're going to do differently now is point our toes upward. So from the same position that we've done just before this one, We now rotate our leg, make sure that our toes point upward and go down as far as you can. You should feel a different part of your leg now actually stretching up. So not so much the inside anymore, but the back side of your leg up to the hamstrings. Yeah, so keep this again for 20 seconds, 2 minutes if you're really going for a full stretch. And then do the other side just as well. And keep this again for 20 seconds, guys. That's the minimum that you should do it for. So lastly, for a full leg stretch, what you also want to do is make sure that you get the front of your leg really stretched out. So that is useful for rear kicks or anything where you need to start bending down and move your balance slightly lower. So same principle again, but now we're going to rest on the ball of our foot. So make sure that you're facing forward. I'll just record from the side. Get the ball of your foot down and really stretch it up. And you can go all the way down to the floor. Use your hands for support if you want to, and you should feel a stretch on the front of your leg. Again, hold this for 20 seconds. And once you're done, go to the other side, do the same thing. So this is 3 exercises of stretching a leg to the fullest, right? We have the front, we have the rear, we have the inside. You can also do the outside if you want to by crossing over and stretching the outside of your leg, but we use it less in martial arts exercises. And this is all the upper part of your legs. There's different ways of doing the same. For example, you can stand in a white horse stance from karate, a kibarachi, and just rest on one elbow and make sure that you push to the inside of your knee with the other one and just start pushing down. This gives you the same stretch as the sidewards movement that we did first, where your toes are pointing forward. You can also stretch the rear of your legs by keeping your legs straight and locking them in and just hanging forward, go as far as you can. So try and touch your toes. This will really give you a stretch on the back of your leg. If you also want to stretch the lower part of the leg, so the calves and the shin bone, which is really useful for my current injury with the shin splits right now, make sure again that you lean forward, not as far as we did with the resting on the ball of the foot. Lean forward, but now keep your rear foot flat on the ground. So just lean forward and feel the stretch in your calves. You can do this for the other side just as well. Make sure that you rest on your calves. And if you want to really stretch up the front parts of your shin bone, make sure that you get some support or somewhere that you can lean onto. Place your foot, the top of your foot down, so your toes pointing down, and then really try and lock your leg and get your hips in there, so you really feel the stretch on the front of your shin bone all the way through to the upper part of your leg. So this is a good exercise to elongate the muscles in your shin bone. Yeah, so other side just as well. Make sure that you elongate those. Now all of these exercises right now we've done passively. So try and elongate and stretch the muscles as much as we can. Especially if you hold them for 2 minutes, if you do that 2 or 3 times a week, you will see progress in the amount of flexibility that you get. So you will be able to kick higher, you will feel easier and lighter on your feet. If you do them just before or as preparation for an exercise or martial arts or interval training, make sure that you turn them into an active stretch. And that's easily done just by doing the same routine that we've done just now, but then instead of just holding it and locking it, you can slightly bounce, right? So this is a really easy way to make it more active. For all of these, you can apply this principle, right? So if you go for elongating 2 or 3 times a week, make sure that you lock them in, that you really stretch them up. If you do them just before working out, you can actually make them active by slightly bouncing, slightly moving and making the stretch further, and then relax and make it further and relax as you go. So that's for the lower part of your body. There's a lot of more stretches that you can do. One that I always include with the lower part of my body, just as a last exercise that we will do, is to really stretch my hips. Now, hips are super important when it comes to martial arts, when it comes to karate and overall balance and fitness. And there's a very simple way to actually stretch your hips and prepare them for any exercise, and that's by simply rotating them. And so just keep rotating your hips, make sure that your feet stay in place, don't move your feet. You should be able to rotate your hips to such an extent that you actually feel your legs also stretching up. So don't go too far in moving the hips out. Don't overdo it. Just go in that space where you're still comfortable, yet making as big as possible circle as you can. Yeah? Move the other direction as well once you're done, and that should give you a good stretch in the hips. This one is actually an active stretch, and it's very useful to do before any martial arts workout, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's karate, MMA. Just stretching up the hips is useful for pretty much anything. So that's it, guys. If you're injured, you see you can still work on your body. We've shown some exercises for doing flexibility, mostly focused on the legs. I'll spend another video on stretching the upper part of the body and still working out the upper parts if you have an injury on your legs or the lower part of your body, just as me right now. So make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos on workouts, active back trainings with the Budo Build app and everything. And remember, even if you're injured, you can still do quite a bit to work on your body. Thank you for watching another Budo Build video. If you like this video, leave a comment. Let me know what to talk about next, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out any new videos.